Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. In this week's video, you'll get a sneak peek at a local greenhouse not too far from our home. You'll get to watch as we make some yummy mozzarella cheese, and you'll see a project Mary is working on for this week's flea market. Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm a homesteading, homeschooling, spirit-filled, Torah-keeping mother of 10, and you are watching IHN Homestead. Colossians 3:23 states, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men." This morning, I am making myself a protein smoothie. I find that sometimes in the mornings, I'm just not ready to eat a meal, and a smoothie actually holds me over pretty well. And what I'm doing is I'm just using some of our farm fresh milk. That's some kelp powder. I've also going to be adding some dandelion. It's called Dandy Blend. It's a coffee substitute. I can't drink coffee because of all the caffeine. And I also add some organic cacao powder. I add some pea protein, and I also add some collagen as well. I will put maybe a little bit of vanilla, and I will also put some stevia in this. And I will get this all blended up, and I will enjoy this for my breakfast in the morning. And it actually does a really good job fueling me for the day, or at least until later in the afternoon when I'm ready for lunch. But I enjoy it, and it works for me. I have not had a baby carrier in quite some time, if you can honestly believe that. I haven't really liked them. This baby carrier, though, I got from Natural Mama Boutique from a lady that I see on YouTube, and her diaper bag as well. And you guys, they're really, really nice. I like the diaper bag, all of its handles. It comes in very handy. The carrier is made out of linen and cotton, and it's very breathable. So I decided to use it for the greenhouse today. The greenhouse that we are visiting is called Straight Gate Greenhouse. It is located just outside of Hicksville, Ohio. So not too far from where we live, but a bit of a distance. The greenhouse has actually grown and expanded over the years. They've got so much to choose from. And I really like their layout. They have this main corridor here. Everything is labeled, and each section, of course, has it's different flowers, it's different herbs, everything. And in the back of the greenhouse, all the way in the back, if you go all the way through there, is where all their trees and shrubs and things are. And so we really enjoy coming here. The family that owns it and runs it is a very sweet family, and we get a lot from them. I'll have to be honest, this video is going to jump around a little bit because this week's weather, again, was, you guessed it, very wet and rainy. So that day that we got to go to the greenhouse was pretty much the only day we got to be outside this week. And so here I am sitting with Adam, and we are doing our reading lessons, and he is learning the H sound, and we are having a really good time. He's having a good time. He thinks his reading lessons are pretty funny. The reading that I choose is from Memoria Press. They have a 5-book series that you can go through, and Adam is on book A.
You don't need to grab them, just touch them. Here we go. La mano.
La mano.
El libro.
Book.
El estómago. Feo. El brazo. Cómico. Me duele. El osito.
Teddy bear.
Aquí. La cabeza. Great job. Mix them up, and here we go. La mano. El libro. El estómago.
My children asked me if we could learn Spanish this year, and we chose the curriculum called See It, Say It, Flip Flop Spanish. I did a lot of research, and we've tried different Spanish curriculums in the past, but I have to admit this by far is the best one. If you remember at the beginning of the video, I mentioned how Mary is starting a new project for the flea market, and this is her project. She used money that she has earned over the year, and she went when we were at the greenhouse and bought herself a bunch of flowers. And she's finding old pots from the barn and just that we've had laying around the house, and she is putting together her own mix of flower pots that she is going to be selling at the flea market this week. Matthew chapter 6, starting at verse 28 says, "And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow, they toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you, that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these."
Norman, how'd you do that? Oh, look at you, buddy. Are you big boy? Are you big boy?
Something that truly blesses my heart is seeing how even my children react to Norman's milestones. They find it so sweet, so fascinating, and so funny watching him grow up and do all these great exploits like climbing on a chair and now standing on a chair. And everybody just loves this little guy. Rain days really aren't too bad because I can't work outside. I can get some extra work done in the kitchen. And I had a lot of milk that I needed to get used up. So I'm going to be making some mozzarella cheese. So I have 2 gallons worth of milk and cream, farm fresh milk and cream in that pot that you see behind me. And I added some citric acid to it. And I'm going to be heating that up really slowly up to about 88 degrees. Once it hits that 88 degrees, I'm going to be adding the rennet that you saw me mix. And I'm doing it right now. And I'm going to mix that rennet in, and then you get it off the heat, and you're going to let the rennet do its work. While I let the rennet do its work, I'm going to use some whey that I had from a previous batch of mozzarella cheese that I made before I started filming. And I'm going to use it to make some whey bread ciabatta. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but that's what you get. And what I'm adding is the 2 cups of whey, 5 cups of flour, about between 2 to 3 teaspoons of yeast, a teaspoon of salt, and a couple tablespoons of sugar. And then I'm going to melt a couple tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to get that in there, and I'm going to get it all mixed together. Now, making the whey bread with the freshly milled wheat flour, I find I do not get the really big breads like I used to. So I think I'm going to switch the recipe up and start buying some just organic all-purpose flour to mix in with my fresh milled wheat bread, because I really like it when I get the really big fluffy breads, and I'm just not getting that with this recipe anymore with just fresh milled wheat. The bread itself still turns out really, really yummy, and everybody enjoys it. So what you do now is I'm going to put it in a bowl, cover it up, and I'm going to put it in the windowsill and let it rise. And this is what the bread looked like when I got it in the oven, and it didn't rise much after this. Making that bread gave me just enough time, so now here I am. The curds are ready to be cut. I'm doing that right now. I'm going to put it through that strainer right there. And the whey that I have left over, I'm going to reheat that on the stove to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm actually keeping it on the lower setting because I could not find my gloves that I use when I do this. And I have to take this, I'm going to strain it just a little bit more. And before I start forming the cheese into balls, I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it in that hot whey. And that's where the gloves come in. So I'm keeping it at a lower temperature, which means it's going to take me a little bit longer to stretch this cheese, but it still worked out really, really well. So I'm going to dip it in there, form it, add some salt, and start stretching it little bit at a time. And the more I go over it, the more stretchy the cheese becomes. And this is where it gets to be a lot of fun. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bag hanging in the back on the counter on the one cabinet. That is that second batch of mozzarella. So I have to let that set and strain for at least 40 minutes or so. So while I'm doing that, I had made some sheep broth earlier in the week and I needed to get it canned up. So that is what I am going to do while I am waiting for that second batch of the mozzarella cheese to strain. So I got all my equipment out and I am going to get some of that broth canned up and ready to go into storage. As I get these jars cleaned off and wiped down, ready for the canner, my son Patrick, whom you cannot see right now, is grabbing them all and taking them over to the canner for me and getting them ready to go. And we will process these for, I believe it was 25 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure. While I was doing all that work, Mary was doing some work of her own. She was making some cinnamon muffins for breakfast for the following morning, and she was very, very happy with the way her muffins turned out. And I have to say, they are one of the best muffins that she has made so far. She's getting better and better with her baking. These muffins turned out super moist, and they had just tons of flavor. And then she made some really big muffins just for fun. But yeah, they were great. They were really, really good. I missed the cutoff date to order from Azure Standard this month, but that is okay because some of the stuff that I needed I was able to get from Two Brothers Market, which is a local retailer here in my area. I got a good 100 pounds of beans and I got a 50-pound bag of the non-GMO hard red wheat. This is a building that they are currently in, but they do have another building that they are working on moving into. Prayerfully, everything will pass with all the red tape that they're dealing with right now, and they'll be able to move into their new building soon. On our way home, I decided to pick some flowers, and my poor son Jacob, he told me, "Mom, this is torture. You're making me pick these flowers." But he's a great help, and it was some pretty sweet video footage seeing him pick flowers for his mom. But then he made sure that I had to get out and pick some too. And what we did is we just took some backcountry roads home and found some pretty wildflowers growing along the ditches and in the fields and some of the wooded areas. And we walked around. I loved those ones. They were so pretty. And picked a whole bunch of flowers and took them home. And you'll get to see as Mary and I have fun putting some flower arrangements together. But when I got home, my kids were excited because they wanted to show me some really pretty flowers that they found growing out in the front yard that I did not know that we had. And so we're going to get a close-up on these flowers. I'm going to have to look them up to see what they're called, but they were really pretty. So I only picked a couple because there weren't a lot, and we added them to our flower arrangements. Well, everyone, that is it for this week's video. I pray you enjoyed your time with my family. Remember, Colossians 3:23 states, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men." Thank you.